This is Dutta, and welcome to It's Wrestling Time. Welcome to a special Tuesday, It's Wrestling Time post show. It is Tuesday, October 29, 2024, and tonight I'll be reviewing Sunday's Halloween Havoc. Joining me with this is Noah.
Hello.
So this is a surprise. You and I think this is the second time you and I do a show together?
Give or take, it's been a while again, from West Coast to East Coast, from different time zones to different lifestyles. So it's definitely a unique circumstance. But the fact that I don't work tomorrow and I'm going to Friday Night Diamond, I'm happy to help out a friend because I get to sleep in. So this should be interesting to say the least.
This should be interesting because I don't watch NXT on a weekly basis, nor do I work on Tuesdays. But didn't do my Halloween Havoc review. Decided to do it today. So Halloween Havoc to me was and I'll get more into it as we go on, but this was this felt like a special, like a TV special more so than a PLE. NXT ECW next week, so I heard. All right, so Halloween Havoc kicked off with Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, Tables, Ladders, and Scares match for the NXT North American title. It was Oba Femi versus Tony D'Angelo. And I have to say, this match, I don't know. I felt like this good show tonight. I didn't watch the show tonight. I'm not going to watch the show tonight. So I'm just doing Halloween Havoc. I know what's filling in the gaps in case I need help. So I wasn't a huge fan of this match. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I just felt like it wasn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. That spot where Oba Femi leapfrogged, that was a pretty cool spot. But aside from that, I just felt like this was an okay match.
Well, the thing about Halloween Havoc, you got to consider it's always a fun show. And I think there's points that felt like a pay-per-view, and then there's points that feels like TV show preview, because it definitely fed into, of course, what those will see on NXT on Tuesday, whether highlight or live or post stream. But the thing about the match was it was a battle of pride. It was a battle of overcoming fear and also redemption for the family. As somebody that's really Italian in its own right, full blood, and that's not a wrestling gimmick, folks. I literally have Italian blood in my veins.
Oh, you're Italian? I didn't know that about you.
I'm part Italian, African American. I'm a melting pot. 23andMe will tell me more about that when I try that out. But yeah, there's definitely Italian roots in my family. Italy's a dream vacation. That being said, you don't mess with the family. V is for Vendetta, if you wanted to bring this match, brought to you by a classic movie. And it was a family effort that took down a ruler. It was almost like a kingdom overthrowing a former leader. Oba Femi's power basically taking most control of the match, while Tony D's will was basically what helped him survive. And then when it looked like Rizzo was about to be literally a sacrifice, because it looked like Oba Femi was about to break her in half, Tony D went for broke with that spear through the ropes onto the ladder bridge. Next thing you know, forget about it. They planted him through the table. It took everybody involved, especially when he was zip tied and cuffed in the corner. And I think for me, it told a nice little story. I mean, the North American Championship is always one of those I look at as X Division. X Division, no limits, North American Championship. It defies a different limit. It's always a workhorse championship. And with Oba Femi being the most defined NXT North American champion in NXT history, I thought it was a nice way to finally get him away from that title and close the book on this story. So kudos to Tony D winning. And you got tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my. But I did not know Oba Femi had that agility. That was frightful in itself.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, Oba Femi's definitely a star. I definitely, now that he's closed the door on the North American title, I definitely do see him moving towards the world title picture, the NXT world title picture. I think he'll face Trick Williams. Maybe not. Maybe he won't necessarily be the next opponent, but I definitely do think he's going to be the next NXT world champion.
Yeah, I think deadline, once it's made official, the usual end of the year standard that really tests who could survive the challenge. It's going to be very interesting. And Oba Femi right now is my candidate this year to take it for the men. And I think you're on to something. I think we are looking at a future NXT champion. He's definitely proved his worth since breaking out in January.
I did like the finish. I did like that spine buster to the table, though.
Yeah, and again, kudos to Tony D surviving Ova Femi's freaking fall from grace, because that has put many a ballot people away. So again, kudos
Hmm.
to Tony D demonstrating again why he leads by example for his family and is willing to fight for them no matter what, especially Rizzo.
So we get a Lexis King interview, and he's trying to find his corner man. Now, the ironic thing about this is that William Regal interrupts him, and he offers to be his corner man. But isn't Lexis King fighting Charlie Dempsey? Is William Regal's own son?
Well, again, the gentleman villain. Last time he was on NXT, fee fi full thumb. I'll be watching. Charlie Dempsey says, I'll be doing it better than you ever could, old man. Of course, the Heritage Cup representing the roots of classic British wrestling, while Lexis King believes he's his own gentleman, winning a gentleman's duel against Armenza to get this opportunity in the first place. And if somebody's going to try and outsmart Charlie Dempsey, it might as well be literally the father of said son. So I think it's very interesting. And also Brian Pillman Jr. and of course Lord Regal, they go way back. So it's almost like a full circle moment and encompassing and leading the next generation. So tonight's Heritage Cup match, for those that of course didn't see it, I think you'll find very interesting. And again, folks, even if you don't watch NXT like her and verbatim maybe me, there's full highlight video that sums up not only the PLEs, but the weekly television shows in less than 10 minutes on the YouTube channel WWE. And it's worth it. I think it is anyway.
Hey, I may not have seen the show, but I know Rhea Ripley got attacked in that parking lot. Hasn't she not learned that the NXT parking lot is dangerous?
I mean, this is NXT. NXT is supposed to be dangerous. It's the brand that defines attitude, unlike Raw and SmackDown. Just saying.
That NXT parking lot has been dangerous since Triple H was in charge of NXT.
It's always been the MO. And again,
God.
not being hashtag spoiler free for those that don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're on the West Coast, it's NXT's barely on. So yeah, I do apologize to all everybody on the West Coast that didn't watch it live.
Watch.
So next we get the tag team matches: Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade versus Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer. Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade, they were the twins from The Shining. They were dressed as the twins from The Shining.
Yeah. Huh? Come play with us and we'll be together forever and ever.
I thought this was a really great match. I think the ladies knocked it out of the park. Giulia was impressive. Stephanie Vaquer is impressive. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez work really well together as a tag team.
I gotta say, for me, this was my match of the night, and this goes to a testament that WWE is really, really, really trying to make women's wrestling and women's tag team wrestling matter, at least on NXT. Again, the long-term history of Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer goes all the way back to Japan over the Individual Strong Women's Championship earlier this year in Corrigan Hall back in February, where Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade have kind of been alongside each other since NXT's post Black and Gold existence. Why Cora Jade was the resident mean girl, Roxanne became that, and you see what's happened with these former frenemies now back together, looking to take over and take charge of NXT as a duo. There was incredible cohesive chemistry on both sides, but I think the bigger thing we also got to consider is this is the first match that Cora Jade had since she returned from the injury back in Chicago, costing Giulia the chance of beating Roxanne for the title. And again, I thought both demonstrated incredible tag team cohesion. It was a very game bout effort on both sides. And I think Cora Jade, whatever injuries, whatever mental games she's overcome, because this business is both physical and mental, I think she was finding her way. I like the little nod to Darby Allin with the coffin drop from the second rope. Yeah, and again, I think she approached that a little bit more safely because, again, she wasn't sure probably. She still probably had those, stutter step thoughts in herself. At the end of the day, that G trigger by Giulia and La Primera with the spiral tap, nice throwback to those that found that out like I did later. Again, La Primera, for those that don't know, 101 CMLL. It was Giulia and Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer that got a hard fought win. And Stephanie Vaquer not only remains undefeated, she pinned the NXT Women's Champion. Now, again, I think this fully devolves a new Fatal 4-Way where Cora Jade might protect Roxanne, but still has eyes on the prize herself, because if you don't want to be on top of this business, what are you doing? There's only room for number one for one person. Yeah, Giulia, who previously faced Roxanne. Giulia and Stephanie, again, they could pick up where they left off because both want the same thing, that's Women's Championship. So, again, I think Deadline is going to be very interesting concerning both the NXT World and the NXT Women's Championship. For the women, though, I don't have a clear-cut winner as far as our Survivor Series go, nor do I know if the NXT Women and or the NXT Women's Championship are going to be defended. But I got a good idea of what I want to see, and so far I'm invested in it. This was a great match, though. Definitely match of the night.
Yeah, this was a really great match. Like I said, the ladies knocked it out of the park. And then at the end, the lights went out, and Zarya appeared on the rafters.
Yeah, the former all-time Australian women's champion with her home promotion. You all can learn more about that on Cage Match. Go watch her match when she went up against Jordan Grace with TNA Knockouts World to show you exactly what she's made of. She is a powerhouse and a dangerous one at that. You thought Rhea Ripley brings brutality? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Ooh, the way you describe her, I can't wait.
And of course, people right now are probably seeing her debut.
Yeah, probably. So next we get an ambulance match. It's Andre Chase. This is gonna be fun. Chase U representing Chase U versus Rich Holland. Andre Chase rocking that Freddy Krueger inspired shirt.
Yeah, many horror enthusiasts are definitely going to enjoy that, including the bunny, who, of course, Freddy Krueger is one of her all-time favorites next to Chucky.
Mm-hmm. So I think this was a decent match. So I know a little bit about like the background here. Like Rich Holland joined Chase U, but then he turned on them.
Yep, after they lost the NXT Tag Team Championships to Frazer and Axiom on the last PLE. No mercy. And Rich Holland showed no mercy to Chase University. Took out Andre, took out Duke, took out Riley, broke Thea Hell's heart and spirit. But Andre came back, and it looked like that an entire Chase U pep ride was here because he wanted to literally make sure that Rich Holland was expelled for him being involved against Chase University. And at the end of the day, Rich Holland was out to prove that Chase U was dead. And even though Andre wasn't knocked out unconscious, I say that he's very close to claiming that that he succeeded. There was some good stuff here, though. Again, you saw the ambulance uses a weapon, you saw the stretch uses a weapon, and a catapult. We saw the announce table come into play, a callback to when Andre Chase was taken out by Rich Holland, and Rich Holland fought on his own. Now, whether or not he asked on behalf of his Chase University alumni, JJ, and his class that he needs to do this on his own, or they were not there, I don't know. But for ambulance matches, I felt like this was more tame versus ones I see in the past. I was waiting for Rich Holland to DDT Andre Chase on top of the ambulance. By the way, nice callback to the Ghostbuster vehicle and using a hearse type vehicle for the ambulance. I will say I like the aesthetic they used to actually give purpose and theme to the Halloween Havoc set. But again, we saw what happened when the concrete was exposed. Rich Holland went back first. That was definitely a critical moment. We saw Andre get his revenge against Rich, DDTing him on the table, laying him out on the stretcher. But at the end of the day, almost like Kane Sino Eva at one point when Rich was in the ambulance, he comes in from behind, tries to take Andre's eye. Next thing you know, he wipes him out with a DDT on the floor, and Rich closes the door on a chapter of his life and probably Chase University. So an embarrassing moment for Chase U once again on NXT's grandest stage. I'm not sure how they mount a comeback here or still hold that spirit that Chase U's been known for. But a big win for Rich Holland, and surprised me, I got that wrong.
Yeah, I was really surprised Rich Holland won this. Okay, give me 1 second.
No worries. And again, folks, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please support the Tilla when it's wrestling time, any time of the week, during all sorts of things wrestling, right here on YouTube. Support Body Slam. And if you want to hear more about my thoughts, engage with me when I don't know whether or not I'll be doing more of these simple takes with her or with people, follow me on Fox 916. Follow the Super Bible Studios. We'll be having super predicting for Crown Jewel, coverage for Crown Jewel later this week, and follow the Ranking Wrestling JJ Williams. This is his brand NXT. Follow him with the Saturday shenanigans. And now back to Tatilla.
Sorry, my dogs are barking, but I was saying
it happens.
Yeah, I was expecting this to be a little bit more personal, like you said. I'm like, this is an ambulance match. Like, this should have just been a regular no DQ match. Like, I just didn't get that like they wanted to destroy each other vibe here, you know?
Yeah, but hey, at least pumpkins weren't involved, so they kept with the aesthetic.
That's true. But yeah, Rich Holland did win, which did surprise me because I thought Andre Chase was going to win this and avenge what happened to Chase you.
Guess not.
So we get a segment with Nathan, Frazer, and Axiom, and they've been teasing for a while now. It seems like they're gonna split up. They've been teasing that since I've been watching these PLEs,
Right.
you know. And again, this segment, the way it went, it does seem like, you know, we're heading to that point. Who do you think is going to turn on who? You think Axiom turns on Nathan or Nathan turns on Axiom? Personally, I think Axiom turns on Nathan because I think he's getting frustrated with Nathan.
Well, I said a while back that I thought that Nathan Frazer would be the guy to turn on Axiom first, and it looked like there was some tense moments to your point where I thought that was likely to happen. You got to consider also that Nathan Frazer is a former student of Tyler Black, aka Seth freaking Rollins, so it makes sense for him to go into business for himself and maybe have a plan B. We know Axiom at one point was trying to pursue the Speed Championship. Bleh. We also know that Nathan Frazer at one point was trying to pursue not only the Heritage Cup, but the NXT North American Championship. But there's one thing we can say about Fraxium, if that's what the people are going to continue to call them. When it comes to the gold, no matter what, they seem to always focus on keeping that or retaining it. Ever since they got back from Chase U, they've been unstoppable. I mean, we saw basically, again, that tension, like you said, one person training, the other one coming in late. What's his agenda? I don't know. And of course, they were defending the NXT Tag Team Championships tonight. But it's still very 50-50 as far as who turns. But I think the one that could go heel more is Nathan Frazer because I think he's more of a combustible element. And I'm not just saying that because Axiom sometimes likes to slowly go through time. But again, when it comes to the gold, as long as they have it, I think they will stay a united front because at this point, they know they're stronger and they know they also are more profitable together, holding on to the NXT Tag Team Championships. But I do think a deadline for this team is coming up sooner rather than later.
When is deadline? December.
It is not official yet, as far as I know. And I'm sure once it's made official, my ECW crew or JJ or you will keep us posted. But usually it's like mid-December because it's the last WWE PLE related thing of the year because it usually coexists within the same week, if not the same weekend, as Ring of Honor Final Battle. So we'll see. Neither are announced.
Okay. So next we get an Ava Raine interview. And we find out that she's going to make a match for EC for NXT ECW. It's going to be Lola Vice versus Jada Parker with Dawn Marie as special guest referee. And it's a hardcore match.
Oh, Lord. Well, first off, for those that don't know, Jada Parker, she's as mean as the streets come. You can ask Meacham about that. Lola Vice, she's got that Latino heat and attitude. And my friend Walter Cruz will tell you all about that. But Dawn Marie, that's the real throwback for me. Dawn Marie, one of the original names from ECW, is no joke in herself. And having her as a special guest referee for these women to go hardcore, I know these are some very combustible elements, but if they mess with Dawn Marie, they might have something even worse to worry about than themselves, if you get what I mean. I'm looking forward to this, though. And again, what I said before, NXT is the brand that defines attitude in the modern era. The strongest representation and the strongest presentation of women's wrestling on the entire WWE banner. So kudos to them. And I'm looking forward to this. But of course, this really picked up after Lola Vice and Jada Parker. They had a fallout as a tag team when they're trying to get the better of Fatal Influence. And we saw what happened during the CW premiere. And they've cost each other matches since. But Jada Parker, I think, still has more momentum as of late than Lola Vice. And we know Jada Parker can go to the extreme, but we also know Lola Vice can win when she's going in the underground. So we'll see what happens here, whether it's the fastest strikes or the toughest backside hip attack that gets the win.
Should be an interesting match.
Yeah, that's putting it politely.
Next, we get another spin the wheel, make the deal. This time is Spinner's Choice Gauntlet match for the NXT Women's North American title match. It's Kelani Jordan versus Fatal Influence, all three members of Fatal Influence. Kelani Jordan dressed like Poison Ivy out there. I don't know if that was intentional.
All the Halloween themes. I mean, I was just waiting for somebody to show up as friggin' Joker.
Right? They missed it. Wait, which version of the Joker? Nicholson, Heath Ledger, or Joaquin Phoenix?
If I look at WWE and they love to stay current, I could see somebody coming out as Joaquin Phoenix.
I prefer Jack Nicholson, but that's just me.
That's fair. Old school.
Yeah, but anywho, back to the match. I don't think it was any surprise to me that Kelani Jordan got through Jazmyn Nix and Jacy Jayne.
No.
I thought she did an incredible job. I mean, she holding it down. But when she got to Fenley, it took all three members of Fatal Influence to beat Kelani Jordan.
I thought this was definitely the match that was more felt like TV for me, because I think of Gauntlets, I figure like, that TV filler because it goes to the distance. You think of Gauntlet, you figure about, again, what you're trying to do. You're testing her out, you're wearing her out, and you're trying to overcome here. It was a three-step plan, and clearly Fatal Influence knew what they were doing because it worked. I like the fact that, again, the greenest and one of the youngest on the NXT Women's Division, Jazmyn Nix was the starter, the kickoff, the warm-up. And she tested a little bit of the athleticism of Kelani Jordan, who was able to basically capture her with a nice little maneuver. Because we've seen Kelani Jordan continue to adapt and evolve as setting the bar for the NXT Women's North American Champion, being the champion since NXT Battleground. Then things really picked up when it came to the person that has had a little bit of experience with Kelani Jordan. Of course, Jayne, the former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, really tested Kelani hard and physical, really took her into the deep end of the water, preferably speaking. But it was, again, just 3 seconds, great wherewithal, great resilience that allowed Kelani to capture Jayne. When you thought Jayne had a couple of times when she was going to be the champion. But again, they knew what they wanted. They wanted the end game to be the title to come home to Fatal Influence. And I couldn't be happier for Tessa Price, bi-state area, Michigan represents, supporting Better Wrestling, folks. As after that cheap shot that decked her, as Fallon Henley was running down, went for the quick fall, didn't get it. And these two, of course, who have had fallout in the past in one-on-one action, by the way, where Kelani does have a one-on-one win over Fallon Henley, for those that don't know. And by the way, this whole Fatal Influence Kelani Jordan thing, it really picked up after No Mercy. And then, of course, you had that Trios Summit with Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Kelani Jordan beating Fatal Influence back in St. Louis at CW, in case y'all wondering how we got to this point. And Fallon Henley, of course, was also initially part of the ladder match back at Battleground. I felt so happy for Fallon Henley, long overdue, getting her first WWE accolade, one of the more experienced and worthwhile characters invested in and developed under the NXT banner. To your point, Kelani Jordan, she thought she had her. She was looking for that split leg moonsault. You had Jazmyn Nix that came in after she hit the 450, stopped the referee with the count. And then you had Jacy Jayne, who again distracted her. She pushed her off. It was Kelani against the world. And again, Shining Wizard found Henry as your new second ever NXT Women's North American Champion. Great moment. I think it should have been more so on television. And going back to NXT television, when Zarya first arrived, she came out after those three spun the wheel, make the deal. So I was wondering who her target was going to be after coming out earlier after the win with Giulia and Vaquer. Well, I got my answer. After she headbutt, clothesline, and F6 Fatal Influence, wiping out the champion. So Zarya has made her sights and goals known initially. And Fallon Henley, you have a whole different influence to deal with. But congratulations to Fallon Henley, and thank you, Kelani Jordan. You set the bar high. We'll see if Fallon can surpass it, or if Zarya destroys it.
My favorite title defense of Kelani Jordan was when she fought Sol Ruca.
Absolutely. For those that don't know, Sol Ruca and Kelani Jordan, by the way, zero professional wrestling experience straight out of the new program, next in line, with a collegiate background in gymnastics, or Terman, for those that know the term. And I thought, again, still both very young in their careers, but both very dynamic, both very passionate, and both obviously students of the game. studying the likes of King Ricochet and Will Ospreay, for those that saw that segment just like I did. One of my sleeper women's matches of the year, by the way, was NXT Heatwave when those two went mutually respectable one-on-one against each other, and I hope it happens again. So, but right now, so Ruka was hanging 10 in TNA at a few points. We don't know what's next for her, but now we know that Kelani joining, time to reset. And you know she's going to get a one-on-one rematch. It's just a matter of how and when, and whether or not it's going to be a fatal influence gang up once again. But congratulations to Fallon Henley, and thank you, Kelani.
Yeah, congrats to Fallon Henley and a big thank you to Kelani. So Zarya made her debut or attacked Fatal Influence, and she's set to make her in-ring debut today during NXT. So it seems like you said, she set her eyes on the NXT North American title, but I guess we just have to wait and see if that's the route that she goes.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, again, when I look at the women's divisions, I look at NXT, I think about you start with the North American, then you go up to the big leagues with the NXT Championship. It just feels like the Intercontinental plan, you know, when the Intercontinental Championship was known as the Workhorse Championship. I think it still is, but it's definitely stutter step right now with recent events. And again, Fallon Henley, tried and tested. She was, you know, friendly cowgirl. Now she's gone hardcore country and she's gone toxic. So, I mean, it's an interesting development to see how far she's come to get here and what she can do now that she's holding the title.
Did you just say hardcore country? Mickey James
Many
reference?
people have made the comparison, and honestly, I need Mickey James versus Fallon Henley at some point.
Okay, I can kind of see it.
Country.
Hardcore country. It's been a while since we heard that song.
Well, again, Mickey James, of course, doing stuff with OVW and still fine as wine, doing her own thing. Good for her. I mean, I was literally listening to Chris Van Vliet when Deonna Purrazzo talked about how important and critical Mickey James was to her career. So just saying, Mickey, thank you. Anyway, continue.
So you get a Tony D'Angelo interview, and he's basically just talking about like how he didn't know the family was coming out. He talked about Femi, and he gives a big shout out to Rizzo, and Rizzo says she knows who attacked her. So I'm not sure what that's referencing to. Do you care to explain?
So last week, or excuse me, I think it was actually this week, prior to Halloween Havoc, this being literally last Tuesday, folks, go along with me here. Like I said, Femi took out the family. The very first member attacked backstage was Rizzo. We don't know necessarily who attacked her at the time. Now, if you watched NXT last week and you saw Femi give somebody a jacket, you drop this. I think everyone figured out exactly who Rizzo's assaulter was. And Rizzo said, "Oh, I know exactly who it was, and I'm going to call her out and kick her ass this week." And for those that are watching NXT right now or saw NXT this week, accused and kind of obvious, you know who it was, and those two are about to go a whole different form of extreme on each other. So we'll see if Rizzo gets to whack a target soon enough. But this target's got a lot of sass, so good luck, Rizzo. You're gonna need it.
Give me 1 second. Just keep explaining.
No, you're fine. And again, for those that don't know, I'm also not going to be a spoiler, and I'm also going to give you less advertisements, less hype, less commercials in the Peacock service. Peacock still sucks, by the way. Of course, they were also talking about how NXT goes to the extreme, talking about NXT coming from the 20th arena for the first time ever. That, of course, will be Wednesday, November 6th, and we'll be covering it here, me and my friends at the Stupid Bible Studios. You can stay tuned for more on that on YouTube. Looking very forward to that. And based on what we saw with Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray also on the pre-show, I can imagine we're going to see Bubba, we're not in TNA, Bubba Ray as well. So we'll see what happens. And of course, Halloween Havoc happened after TNA Bound for Glory. You see my commitment to Tal. Phenomenal preview experience. And if you haven't already, please go check out No DQ. Say to No DQ. Check out Aaron Riff and I's recap of both NXT Halloween Havoc and TNA Bound for Glory, as both me and him were there live. I also want to give a shout out and happy anniversary to both Aaron Riff and Caitlin Riff. I hope they had a glorious, blessed, and wonderful, humble day. May continue to bring nothing but positive vibes going forward as a united front. But yeah, I think we all knew exactly who attacked Rizzo from that post backstage segment this past NXT. And imagine those two coming together. That's a whole different form of a kingdom with some tribalistic, or should I say, savage beast-like attitude. But again, over Femi's future and maybe her together as a duo, mixed tag, yeah, up in the air. Plus, I still think Oba is definitely deadlocked to be the next winner of NXT Deadline. And Rizzo, again, she's still also very young in her wrestling career, also straight out of the NIL program. We've seen her a little bit of in action. If you watch Level Up, we saw what she was able to demonstrate in, I believe it was mixed tag action at one point on a PLE. But I think Rizzo has a nice upside to her. I think she delivers a beautiful forward moonsault or cannonball senton. I forget which one that she does out of the corner, but I think Tony D, the Don of NXT, and this identity with the family has also come a long way from a presentation, development, and respect standpoint. And why people might think there might be something a little bit different here with Rizzo and Tony D. I mean, if we're talking Italians, we're talking Italy. I mean, we've seen romances, we've also seen betrayals, especially the Mafia. I can't wait for the new Mafia game, too, going back old school to Italy. Mafia, one of my favorite series. Shout out to was it 2K Games? I think I made that, something like that. I don't even play sports video games, so there's that. Anyway, shout out to everybody that's been continuing to follow the Till. I hope you continue to support her and her work that she does here in and out of wrestling time, with or without body slam. As of course, she keeps you in tune. Her and Bert Macklin. I hope Bert's doing well. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope everyone's doing well. Used to be with.
Okay, sorry. So sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So I don't know who attacked Rizzo. You saying that we know, but I don't know.
Oh, trust me. You look at the NXT highlight, you'll know for sure. But if you looked at NXT like I had when it came to who Uber Femi gave a jacket off to, I think you already know. It just depends on how much you follow NXT. But trust me, I knew already before Halloween Havoc. And it got confirmed tonight on NXT.
Okay, I'll check out the highlights then.
Good.
So you get a Rich Holland segment, and he basically gets in Bubba Ray Dudley's face, which plays a factor at the end of Halloween Havoc, which we'll get into. And Bubba basically tells him that's twice now he's interrupted him on the kickoff show, and like right now. So again, this plays a factor into the end of Halloween Havoc. We'll talk more about it when we get there.
Right.
So we get a segment where Tatum Paxley climbs out of a box, and she gets a match on Tuesday, and it will be a casket match.
Tatum Paxley is very unique. And of course, she apparently must have been locked inside that stage crate ever since last week NXT when she got taken out in a match by Jada Parker, one-on-one effort. And when the Chu came out, grabbed Tatum Paxley from behind, choked her out, put her to sleep, and put her in that crate. Of course, the last time Wendy Chu and Tatum Paxley were in the ring together, Tatum Paxley put Wendy Chu to sleep. So a little bit of payback. And I guess for all we know, she's been trapped in that crate since when Ava Raine was like, we need to get you medical attention as you finally see the light and you can breathe. You didn't suffocate. And whether or not Tatum Paxley fears the dark or is claustrophobic, it looked like in a way she was relieved, excited, angry, and she wanted revenge. And she spun the wheel, forced it to stop, and made her own deal to play with Wendy Chu in a casket match. Good grief almighty. One of these two is probably going 6 feet under. And of course, you'll see that tonight on NXT for those that are watching on the West Coast. I saw on good grief. And of course, Wendy Chu, last time we saw her outside NXT, she got speared by Rosemary. So Wendy Chu has her fair share of enemies right now. I guess Tam's the first right now that wants to take care of her.
Yeah. So finally, the main event ends up being another spin the wheel, make the deal, the Devil's Playground match for the NXT World Title, Ethan Page versus Trick Williams. I thought this was a fun match. Trick Williams using the pumpkin on Ethan Page. It was so hilarious.
He gored him, quite literally.
Yeah. Trick Williams getting a taste of his own blood as he started bleeding from his mouth. And Trick Williams was victorious here, so he retained. But at the end, you had Rich Holland attack Trick Williams, and Ethan Page tells him, you want to do it right. And Bubba Ray comes out. So like I said, it seems like we're getting a tag team match. Holla, Ethan Page and Rich Holland versus Bubba Ray and Trick Williams, probably at NXT ECW next week.
Yeah, I feel like the writing was on the wall between those segments with Bully Ray and Rich Holland. And of course, that was our end note. But as far as this match goes, playing the devil's playground. It was basically no countouts, no disqualification. It was a false count anywhere match. And it really showed that Trick Williams can be more than just a gimmick where we whoop that trick. I like it. And he also can show a more aggressive side. Oliver Page being the veteran here, pulling that out of Trick Williams, saying that this is the devil that you never knew, that you never wanted to deal with, and having Trick Williams fight from underneath, especially that one shot when his ribs went into the side of the steps and it looked like he had internal bleeding. Saw that and fighting from underneath while Oliver Page was looking to send him a Razor's Edge, not only through the announce table, but through the ring. We had nuts and bolts put out at one point. Ethan paid for that. Ouch. The pumpkin spot, though, whoop that pumpkin. That was probably the most brilliant spot of the match to literally capture the theme of Halloween Havoc. And, of course, all the Booker T mannerisms with the Harlem sidekick, the bookend on the steel ring steps. And like you said, towards the end, even was looking to end Trick Williams. By the way, Trick Williams, nod for the Willy Wonka entrance, including the combo. I'm just glad a chocolate bar wasn't used during this because I would have walked off. Seriously, all right. Don't go back to the cheesy WWE nonsense. But yeah,
imagine he had the Oompa Loompas as well.
Good grief almighty, where's Taz? But yeah, we don't need that. But we saw at one point that even was literally looking to end him, trying to drive those steel ring steps through his chest. And also, by the way, at one point, there were no rope breaks. So kudos to Ethan Page being aware, kicking out, and doing the rope break. A double match after that early trick shot. And the fact of the matter, this was the first one-on-one that truly didn't have any controversy, any special guest referee, any outside factors. It really felt like, again, a way to close the book on the saga, at least NXT Championship saga, of Trick Williams and All Ego and Page. After saying, you should have ended me, I'm going to end you. Low blow receipt. That was the most emphatic Hadouken low blow I've ever seen by Trick Williams. Good grief. He went right up in there. Next thing you know, another trick shot, and Trick Williams survives the Devil's Playdate with All Ego Ethan Page. I liked how far both men brought out that attitude, that aggressiveness, that reckless abandonment against each other. And then Rich Holland, like you said, came out, and we learned his next intentions. And I guess Ethan and Rich now, same page. They want to wipe out Trick. Bully Ray doesn't want none of it. And you'll see continue follow that on tonight's NXT. But I thought this was a fair main event for the title. Again, gimmick aside, I wasn't expecting a classic, but it showed me that Trick can show he's willing to go further than you think to be champion. And he can be a main eventer. I sometimes think that Trick Williams sometimes has pressure in the big spots, and he doesn't necessarily live up to that hype outside his gimmick. And I think tonight he proved a different point in what he demonstrated. Or that
was there a botch on when he put his foot on the rope because there was no rope break? Was that a botch?
that was awareness. Ethan Page, and that's why Ethan immediately kicked out afterwards too, because there were no rope breaks here. And they even took it into the audience, by the way, with the trash cans and the NXT universe getting involved. Again, NXT bringing that attitude, fan engagement vibe that brought me back in the black and gold and brought my fandom of any related to WWE brand back to life. So I thought it was a really fun closing of match.
Yeah. All right. So on a scale from a 1 to a Sean Spears perfect 10, what would you rank the show?
Well, like I said, I think the ambulance match is a little under-delivering. I think one of the matches was better for television than pay-per-view, but they brought the aesthetic, they brought the Fiend, they brought the feel, and all the costume gimmicks back when it came to Halloween Havoc. I thought it was a very fun show. I enjoyed the attitude. I enjoyed the action overall. Good timing. And we definitely got continuation of where it's going to go from there and a little bit more. I think it did what it needed to do, and I'm so glad Fallon Henley finally got her moment too. It's an 8 out of 10 for me.
Really? For me, it's like a 6 out of 10. I mean, I like the gimmick. I like the aesthetic and stuff. I really like the women's matches. I like the main event. The ambulance match I felt was a little weak. And then the first match, I don't know. I thought it was an okay match. Again, like I don't watch NXT on a weekly basis, so this PLE should have sold me NXT, this upcoming NXT, like today's NXT, and it didn't. You know? And I felt like this was just felt like your run of the mill NXT. Didn't feel like a PLE. This honestly could have been a TV special, like a themed TV special.
That's fair. But also, usually they do that as either TV special or out of the NXT home base in Orlando. So it was nice to see them take Halloween Havoc this year on the road, and I think it made it feel a little bit more bigger and special. So I give the credit's due. But again, if you've had disconnect with NXT for quite a while, like I have too, I can understand your standpoint as well. But overall, still a fun Sunday night to say the least.
Okay. All right, Noah, where can people find you?
If people want to engage with me and they choose, follow me on the Twitter. X gonna give it to you. Or YouTube at Foster1916, where I only wish to encourage you to just your life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's truly as simple as that.
I know Noah likes all things professional wrestling. Damn it.
Damn right.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at @_. You can check me out here on my channel every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays. And for all things TNA, make sure you check me out every Thursday on Body Slam. Bird and I was unfortunately not able to go to Bodies to Bound for Glory because I did get sick. So, but I did watch the show, and Bird and I, my co-host, did do a review, so make sure you check that out. And with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. For the continued support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or I release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after AEW Dynamite.
Have a good night, folks.